An Ogle County deputy who was shot during a 2024 standoff in a gated community in Dixon files a civil lawsuit against the alleged shooter and his mother.
Here's some context. Lieutenant Jason Ketter was one of 3 first responders shot in June of 2024 at a home in the 400 block of Wild Rice Lane in Lost Lake. The suspect in the case, Jonathan Gornaris, faces several charges, including 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The documents show Ketter is suing Gornaris and his mother, Robin Gornaris, as well as a realty business, Baldwin Estates, all for more than $50,000 for a wrongful act.
The complaint claims that in the days and weeks before the shooting, Jonathan acquired guns, ammo, and other equipment with preparations for a violent and deadly attack. The suit argues Robin and Baldwin Estates knew or should have known about those actions and did not report that information to law enforcement.